Excited to introduce our guest speaker today. She flew in from Washington, D.C. on a plane. She's with Friends, the Friends Committee, and she did weekend workshops with young people in Ann Arbor, then went to Kalamazoo, and then took the train back here to be with us tonight, and she's flying back to D.C. tomorrow because she's got lobbying days ahead, lots of wonderful activities. I met Katherine Philipson last year when Rich Peacock had invited her. There's chairs. Anyway, last year, it was last year in the spring, she came in when Rich Peacock was doing Move the Money campaign with Peace Action. And we were just so thrilled to meet her. The Citizens for Peace said, well, we have to bring her back to Michigan. And so I kept saying, when can you come back? You know, and she fit us in the schedule now. You will be delighted to meet Katherine Philipson, as delighted as we were. She graduated from the University of Oregon, she told us at dinner today, and she got a degree in international studies with a focus on comparative development in sub-Saharan Africa. Yes, and before she joined Friends, the Friends Committee on National Legislation, she served as a policy fellow with Jubilee USA Network. And that's the alliance of organizations, you're familiar with that, right, Mary? Trying to end that cycle of crippling debt in Africa. I mean, the countries that are struck by Ebola have, you know, so much debt that they're paying off. If they didn't have all this horrible debt, they could take care of the Ebola problem. But anyway, she's just got a big heart. We're delighted that she is here to tell us about her group, Friends, the National Committee on, I get it mixed up, FCNL, the Friends Committee on National Legislation. And she believes that committed and coordinated activists have the potential to transform U.S. policies to uphold the dignity and inherent worth of all, and that's why we are excited to give her a big Citizens for Peace welcome, Katherine Philipson.
Well, what a joy and an honor it is for me to be with you this evening. Can everyone hear all right? Anybody raise your hands? Well, can't hear, but. So I have to tell you, you know, in my work, I've had the opportunity in the last few years to travel around the country and meet different activists and try to be a support to citizen lobbyists. And I have to tell you that you have some of the most persistent organizers here with you in this room. You know, people who call you until you say yes. And so I just want to say truly what an honor it is to be with you. Everywhere I've gone, how conservative the town is, no matter, or progressive, or you know, whatever color, purple, blue, green, red, every place has a group concerned about peace. Whether it's 3 people or 50 people, but I will tell you this is a really special one. And so, you know, Colleen asked me to talk with you tonight about networking and the power of networking, because we're going to be hearing from different groups who are represented here tonight about the work that they do and how you might be able to partner together better. And so I wanted to give you a little picture of what can happen when those groups of 3 and groups of 50 can link up together and focus on something. So I don't know if, like me, you might be feeling deeply concerned, whether it's about the elections or about this endless so-called war on terror that keeps going, or about our climate, or about our ever-increasing levels of inequality. It's pretty discouraging and it's pretty hard to be looking at those issues together, but I will tell you, standing here, that I have hope. And the reason that I have hope is because of people like you, and because I do believe from my experience that, you know, what Bill Moyer says, that there is an antidote to organized money, and that is organized people. I've been blessed to work with the Friends Committee on National Legislation. It is a mouthful, but it is a advocacy group for peace and for social justice based in Washington, D.C. We actually happen to have the largest number of registered peace lobbyists of any organization in Washington. It's an organization founded by Quakers, but about half of our staff and half of our supporters around the country are not Quakers, but they're people who share those same concerns and really want to work with us. Quakers are a religious group that believe that there's something of God, some spirit, some truth in every person. And so that's why they oppose killing people and look for ways to create a society that can uphold the dignity of every person. And you might see on your tables, thanks to Colleen, she printed out a summary of our policy priorities. And you see these statements of the we seek. We seek a world free of war and the threat of war. We seek an earth restored. These are some of the big prophetic visions, but you know, it only happens when we try to set goals that we can actually achieve together. And so they've been around since 1943, first started to support conscientious objectors. But ever since then, very centrally involved in founding the Peace Corps and passing the Civil Rights Act and preventing the creation of new nuclear weapons, and in creating new sources of funding and new positions within our government to look at how to prevent conflict before it starts, not just to engage in war as a way to address conflict. So my particular role on staff has been trying to support citizen lobbyists. And I've been, when I first started on our staff 3 years ago, it was at a time when we had major budget cuts coming down the pipeline at the federal level. How many of you remember this horrible word sequester? Yeah, you remember the sequester cuts, right? Whatever happened to that? Well, I'm going to give you a little sense of what happened. And I also want to give you a picture of what people in Michigan contributed to having a better outcome around that. So I got to go off to states where we thought the senators were of particular importance. People on the Senate Budget Committee, people who were really influential. So Washington and Oregon and Ohio and Virginia and North Carolina and Illinois. But I also got to come to Michigan, where it just so happened that Senator Stabenow is on the Budget Committee, and your Senator Levin has been the chair of the Armed Services Committee, which is the head role determining our military policy at the national level. So you had a disproportionate influence compared to other people in the country based on your senators' roles. So when I came to see you back in May of last year, it was just when that first round of sequester cuts was going through, those big automatic budget cuts. And so we saw that year these across-the-board cuts of $42.7 billion taken from human needs and taken from Pentagon spending. We saw that impacting all kinds of human needs programs in our communities. 57,000 children denied Head Start, 125,000 families that couldn't afford to be in their homes because of housing vouchers cuts. People turned around away from domestic violence support centers, all kinds of things that we really need money for, seeing those things impacted because of this 2011 legislation that cut about $2 trillion from the budget. The first cuts, all of that divided equally between Pentagon spending, what they planned, which was a whole lot of growth, and the human needs budget. And so that first half of those cuts was already in place, and then the second half is something that's spread out over 10 years, that happens in an every year interval. But not all hope was lost. People around Michigan did some really amazing work. As soon as 2011, a group based in Lansing and the Michigan Peace Budget Coalition based out of Lansing, they organized a whole forum around jobs and human needs to help people talk about what our outsized military spending was costing us in terms of other things that we could be investing in our communities. And they actually had 230 different people sign on to a letter to the senators in 2011. Then later, when I came back, that same group put together a letter with local elected officials, with people who were professors, human needs professionals. All of these people signed on to a letter, and they asked for a meeting with Senator Stabenow. And because of that work they'd done over time, they actually had a meeting with her in person. And she did really listen to them, and she even took a picture with their sign that said, "War is not the answer." We had a group in Grand Rapids, organized by the Micah Center, get 23 different faith leaders from their community to, again, put together a letter for the senators. And another group from Ann Arbor and another from Detroit, the Detroit Peace Action Group. Because of all of their work, there ended up being 3 in-person meetings with Senator Levin to talk with him. And I was fortunate enough to sit in one of those with some people from Kalamazoo who told him about what was happening in the schools, the children who needed those free and reduced lunches, and what was happening with their arts program being cut. And I really watched him listen and hear the stories from the communities about what was really happening, what these wars and our huge military budget were really costing children and families here in Michigan. And it wasn't just here in Michigan that people did that kind of organizing. In Virginia, people did a similar effort, similar kinds of sign-on letters, and there were lobby visits in 5 of Senator Warner's 6 offices around the state. And I was in a meeting with Senator Warner's staff person who told me, that staff person said, because of your advocacy, Senator Warner pushed our Senate budget proposal and spoke out on that. And I want you to know that so that you can tell people thank you for being in touch with his office. And what's so amazing to me about that is that Senate committee budget proposal, it actually would have, their proposal would have gotten rid of these automatic cuts to human needs, but it still kept $240 billion in cuts to planned Pentagon growth. So to have a senator from Virginia, which is the most Pentagon-dependent state in the country, feel supported enough by his constituents to say something like that, I think is a really big deal. So, ultimately, by the end of the year, the end of that December 2013, they did come to a budget deal, the Senate and the House together. And of course, it wasn't everything that we would have wanted by any means, but it was a lot better than we would have expected otherwise. And that included some offsets to these cuts for human needs. Those offsets ended up still divided evenly between the military and the non-military spending. So that's a huge triumph for us because the House was looking at taking all the cuts away from the military and putting them up on the human needs. So it's still, the relief was divided evenly for 2014 and 2015. And we can see still that the Pentagon budget is on track to level off and to still have those cuts lined up when they start back again in 2016. So by no means is our work finished, but I really wanted to give you a sense of the kind of power that could come by linking groups together and by focusing. And of course, Senator Levin is one of the toughest nuts to crack, right? So even after, we're talking about the chair of the Armed Services Committee, who is now retiring, but when he first heard about these cuts back in 2011, he said, we cannot take any more than another $100 billion on top of the $500 billion on the books, and that's where I stand, right? But by the end of it, we still see over $800 billion in cuts to planned Pentagon spending still on the books. And it's pretty unlikely that something like that could stand without the most influential senator on military issues stepping back a little bit, letting there be some space for that. And so, I can't prove to you that this made a huge difference, but I really think that together, it certainly helped him know there were a whole lot of people in his state who had other priorities that they wanted to put first, priorities of human life and human needs and peace building over making war. So I hope that you'll not forget that besides lobbying, there are all kinds of other ways that you can really have an impact when we work together. I know that you do a lot of education and helping people understand these issues, and that is huge. And I was inspired when I was in Kalamazoo and Battle Creek in the last couple of days to just learn about the role that Michigan had in the Underground Railroad. That Detroit was a huge stop on people's way to Canada, and I learned that in the 1850s there were 200 different safe houses, different stops on the Underground Railroad. And really, to think about over that 100-year period that 100,000 people escaped from slavery through that Underground Railroad. Now, talk about an example of networking, right? These people didn't have computers. They had to put advertisements in the newspaper and send people by word of mouth. but they managed to network together in a way that could save people's lives and bring them to freedom. And there's a history of that here. There's a history of that here in this place. I learned about a group that marched to Battle Creek last summer to draw attention to the drones, the new drones operating center that's based there, that's sending drones, operating remotely drones in other countries to kill people, and that they were able to march all the way from Chicago to Battle Creek. Again, that's some real networking to get all those people together. And so I just want to encourage you tonight, as you hear from different people about all the work that they're doing, to ask yourself, how can we find common ground? What do we share? What can we focus on together? How can we build stronger relationships with one another? How can we pool our resources? What people are we in contact with that we're not even thinking about that could be useful for this work? And what are the different points of leverage that we have? I think I want to end with this wonderful lines from a song, an old Union song, that Pete Seeger popularized. It's an old mining song. But I just love these lines. Step by step, the longest march can be run. Many stones can build an arch, singly none. And by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn the mill, singly none.
Thank you for the Citizens for Peace. Thank you so much. We have so many other speakers today. That's why Katherine said, well, I really want to make my talk short so that you can do the nitty-gritty work of networking and with our organizations. We're here to network, to find out what can we do. Those wonderful questions that Katherine asked, how can we energize ourselves as a peace network? It's such important work, and that's what we're doing. So we have lots of leaders from the Detroit Area Peace with Justice Network and a few other people that are working for peace in various ways, and everyone's going to get up and talk, but we're going to ask you to just keep it to the maximum of 2 minutes since we have so many people, if you see the agenda, that are working for peace. One of the things for sure you'll leave here with is the idea that there are so many groups. The Citizens for Peace is just one group on the west side, and there are so many groups way on the east side. Well, they all came here today to share with you, to share with the Citizens for Peace and all of you, the work that they're doing. So we're going to ask every leader of the, or representative of their organization to come up and speak briefly. What is the purpose of your organization? And I thought I would start. And Ann has a timer, and she's gonna time me and see if
Von Halstead died.
I know.
Just found out.
I know.
So
I just heard
for
that.
what it's worth, I don't know if anyone else is taking great pictures.
No.
Okay, then I
Yeah.
can speak.
Yes, you can. Yeah, we're very sorry. And we were going to have like a moment of silence. He was going to be on the agenda. Okay, I wanted to wait, but that's okay. We'll do that. You ready? I'm ready. Okay, I'm going to do 2 minutes to describe the last 11 years of the Citizens for Peace. And this is off the top of my head. I'm going to start with recognizing one of our founding mothers here, Vincenza Mueller, who, along with Rosemary Doyle and I and George and several other people, really got the Citizens for Peace organized. She is an organizer, and she said, I'll help run you through this process. And we brainstormed for several months and came up with our mission statement. I'm not going to read all the things, our mission statement, because it's right here on this little brochure that I gave everyone. We've never changed the mission statement other than adding, besides supporting the U.S. Department of Peace, we're also working for a Youth Promise Act. You'll hear about that later. And violence prevention programs. We've spent this whole year really talking about transformation. It started with Reverend Rich Peacock talking about how to turn Martin Luther King's dream into a reality. He's the one that's the Move the Money campaign for peace action. Love in our hearts, peace in our world. We focus on inner peace. The spirit of survival. We had Sergeant Caleb Magnum talking about the power of kindness. We've dealt with human trafficking and the life and death of peacemaker Dan Terry. The last several months we've really been focusing on Detroit. Our speaker was Ron Scott. He's an activist in Detroit working very hard. Also, last month we had Yusuf Shakur talking about how to transform from being a prisoner to a peace activist. So those are the kinds of activities we do, educational meetings, and we reach out to the legislators. So Vincenza helped us organize ourselves in 3 areas. Inner peace. Am I done?
Yeah.
That was 2 minutes. I didn't even get to our... Okay, thank you. I didn't get to Rosemary's education fund, but you can read all about it. I'm glad I had that.
One more minute, you're in charge.
Well, because Rosemary asked me to do her part, but I didn't get to it, Rosemary, sorry.
2 more minutes.
Well, we talked about our education fund. It's awesome. They do all kinds of education. So next on the agenda is Mary Albertson. See, Mary, if you can be better than I was.
Believe me, I can't.
I was so excited. I thought I could do it.
I won't start until I start talking. No?
Okay, she's going to time you.
Okay, some of you have already heard me talk about results, and I think that I was even wondering if that was one of the Kalamazoo groups, Catherine, that you were with, because we lobby Congress to try to create the political will to end hunger and poverty. Domestically and worldwide, because we could end it if we wanted to. We have the resources, we could do that, but we don't have the political will. So we actually have domestic and global groups near here and in Kalamazoo and in Ann Arbor and Detroit, new groups going in. We meet once a month and have a national conference call to give us an action to do and talk about just a laser talk or short talk to call our Congress people. Sam Daly Harris, that started Results, is now a counselor in counseling with the Peace Alliance, getting them on the same type of thing that Results has had. When Results started about 35 years ago, there were 42,000 children dying every day of starvation and preventable disease, and now UNICEF says 17,000, which is still horrible, but way down from that. It's harder now because of the way things are in Congress, but there are still things that we can do. And domestically, we work on trying to expand Head Start, trying to keep them from cutting food stamps, SNAP program. Globally, microloans for the poorest women to start businesses, education for all, because 57 million children are not in school, in primary school worldwide, and things like that. So there's a yellow brochure on Results on your table. Inside is the contact numbers for the Mary on there is me. And if you want to hear more about Results, you are invited this Sunday, you have a few of these on the table, to Unity of Farmington Hills, because we have a Results benefit. And it's just this wonderful global person, Kul Gautam, who is a former Deputy Executive Director of UNICEF and Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations, speaking on his vision for the future and how we can see that vision become a reality. And Results motto is, peace begins when hunger ends. So join us. We'd love to have you come just to a call, see what you think.
Come on Sunday. Sunday, I've got tickets for Sunday if you want tickets.
Excellent, Mary, you did better than I did.
Oh, thank you.
Now my friend, another friend, Laura Dewey from the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom came all the way from way on the east side.
I didn't know we were supposed to speak, so thanks for the advance notice. That's okay. WIL, I'm not going to say it, but WIL is an international organization started in 1915 by, among others, Jane Addams, the social worker, in the midst of World War I. We have sections around the country and around the world. So we have the U.S. section, which you can find information about them by going to www.wilus.org. And then in the cities, we have what we call branches. So I'm from the Detroit branch. And We are also mainly educational. We advocate for peace around the world. We advocate against nuclear arms and the weapons trade. We advocate for human rights and women's rights. And as examples, some past programming, we just did one on nuclear waste. In years past, we had the president of Israel, Wolf, in Detroit. We had the president of Palestine, Wolf, visit us. So we were very much in tune with the international issues going on. And we very recently had our U.S. Congress in Detroit at Wayne State University, which is quite successful. So I would like for organizations to link up, and I'd like to ask our young speaker, who's a lot younger than most of us, to address an issue that a lot of us harangue ourselves about, which is how do we get young people involved? And I'm sure you get this question in every city, so I beg your pardon for asking it again. But it's so crucial to us. We don't know how to connect with the younger generation. And I'd like us in this group or at some point in another meeting to address this issue. You know, what would make young people interested in organizations such as ours? So that's my share.
Very, very good. Our next speaker, Caroline Doherty, for Michigan Stop the Nuclear Bombs.
I'll make it slowly. Well, Michigan Stop the Nuclear Bombs campaign has been around how long?
It's 2000.
2000. There are so many groups, aren't there?
Yeah.
I've been involved from Central America in the 50s, 80s. I get interested in nuclear because I said without taking care of nuclear, we can forget the rest. So that's why I'm into nuclear. Okay, that's why I'm into nuclear. How do we do it? How do we do it? We plan trips down south, down to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, let people see that they took out a whole town to build a facility to make bombs. And now they want to renew the whole thing, and make it all fresh and new. And that's been canceled because we've been working on it. I have just, we talk about nuclear stuff. Do we really understand it? It's invisible, and I'm not a physicist. I'm a retired nurse. I've got a page here that just talks about the different kinds of rays, and I'm going to leave it over there if you want it. The other thing, as a preventive person and as a nurse, I am very much into how to get rid of radiation, heavy metals from your body. And I got a book for Christmas last year. It's called Wild Fermentation. And the line that I want to really dig into, you guys, is miso soup. A simple thing like that, a couple teaspoons of this in some hot water is wonderful. And it will actually take out the heavy metals and eliminate them from your body. So I'm going to leave this over there, so if you want to pick it up, you can. And we're all in this together, and it sure is enheartening to see this many people. And happy birthday!
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks, Carolyn. We're going to have Lon Herman come up from Democratic Socialists of America. Now, where do you live, Lon? In Ferndale. Almost all the people are east of us. We're way far west. Thanks for coming.
I didn't know I was supposed to speak either, so I'll try to keep this short. Basically, Democratic Socialists of America was an outgrowth of the war on poverty. Jim Harrington, you may be familiar with, wrote the book Poverty in America, and it spurred the Kennedy administration's efforts at developing anti-poverty programs. LBJ's Great Society was based on some of the information from that book. Part of the reason we call ourselves democratic, of course, is because at that time the socialist movement was somewhat negative and it was frowned on in this country, to say it, because of the Soviet Union, Red China, Cuba, and the other dictatorial types of socialism. That's why we call ourselves democratic socialists. And our belief is that in a democratic society, we need socialism because we need to move the profit motive out of how we determine what's to be produced. Exactly what socialism will look like in this country, we really don't know. But to give you an idea of the issues that we've worked on, we first of all believe in an inside-outside type of strategy. That is that we work within the Democratic Party. We did support Mark Szawala in this last election. In fact, we had fundraisers for him and raised over $18,000 on his behalf. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough. I guess we need a few billion more. And so we find ourselves involved in a great many battles. One battle that we fought in the past is we fought to support John Conyers' Jobs Bill, Bill 676. We've been involved in the single payer campaign because we believe that people shouldn't have to provide a profit for companies in order to get health care. We think that health care should be something that's available to everyone and should be paid for through our taxes in one way or another. In fact, it's just a matter of basically what you would do would be just expanding Medicare so it covers everyone from prenatal through the last moments of your life. Of course, we also support education for all. We also believe that education is something that's too important, that every person in the country benefits when our children are educated. And so we believe that education should be covered from preschool all the way up through college. We also have supported locally the Eviction Defense. I don't know how many people are aware of this, but there's a group called Eviction Defense which has been fighting to protect homeowners from illegal foreclosures that were caused basically by dishonesty among the lenders and the banks. And we also were involved in the rock demonstrations, the restaurant organizing committee against Andiamos.
I don't know whether you heard me.
Oh, I didn't hear it, I'm sorry. Against Andiamos, but as you can see, that we were involved in a great many incidents.
Next speaker, Carol Lyson from Alliance to Halt Fermi 3.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak to all of you. Our organization is kind of the new kid on the block. We've only been, it'll be 3 years in March since we got our start. And I think for a lot of us, the events on March 11th, 2011 in Japan, that fateful day at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear reactor, really galvanized the anti-nuclear community around the world. At that time, there were, I think, 105, maybe 104 reactors in the United States. Now we're down to 99, and there will be another one coming down at the end of December, Vermont, Yankee, and in Vermont. And we are primarily committed to stopping the proposed Fermi 3, which is the largest, it will, if it's built, it will be the largest nuclear reactor in the world and adjacent to the Fermi 2 complex near Monroe, Michigan. We are equally dedicated to shutting down Fermi 2, which is going through a relicensing another a 20-year extension to their current license. And we are involved in a capacity there to stop that relicensing from happening. In addition to our the work that we do to oppose the existing nuclear reactors here in the Detroit area, we are dedicated to promoting a clean, safe, sustainable energy future, which sounds, really good. Sounds good, but getting there is, bottom line is that it really is going to require us to power down as a society. And I'd love to talk with all of you more. Just one last thing, we have an annual meeting Sunday, December 7th at the Royal Oak Senior Center. And we'd love to have you come and learn more about what we're up to. Thank you.
Here comes another president, Angela Ryan. She's the president of the League of Women Voters, Northwest Wayne County. She's not part of the Detroit Area Peace with Justice Network, but I asked her to come as a fellow president because I think the work that the League does is so important. So thanks for coming.
Thank you. Well, Colleen tried to cover 11 years in 2 minutes, and I'm trying to do 94 years in 2 minutes. The League of Women Voters, in my opinion, is even more important today than it was 94 years ago when women got the right to vote. For all of the attacks on voter rights throughout the United States, whether it's photo ID or, claims of voter fraud that are an event that isn't occurring, but there's a solution to it if it ever does. The League is a nonpartisan political organization, so we don't support any particular candidate or opposed, but we do support issues, and peace is certainly among them. And a lot of the things that are important to you are important to League members. We are very involved in education, obviously, in all sorts of voting issues. It's always very disappointing to us to see the small turnout for any election, particularly these midterms, and that's clearly something that we need to work on collectively. We educate the public through things like candidate forums. We have public meetings on lots of different issues. We've had people coming from the Detroit Water Board. We've had presentations about education. We had Center for Michigan did a communications. It was a whole series of issues that we kind of got to give our input that then they presented to the state legislators. Not that it necessarily did much good, but some of the things that they've taken to the state, actually they have changed the way people have voted, so that's a good thing. I have a bookmark that says vote on one side, but it's got our website on the other side, and I'll pass these out during the break. And the reason I want you to have our website is because we are such a nonpartisan source of information. We don't take sides in elections, but we will talk about things that are important that are going on in the state and nationally. And we also have a link to information for who all your representatives are, from the local level up to the president. And obviously a lot of that's changed right now. We'll be redoing it in January so that it'll be current information for the next legislative cycle, whether it's U.S. or in the state of Michigan. I, of course, have applications, so if you're interested in joining the League, come and see me. Thank you very much.
She cracked, she rehearsed.
No, I just have had practice doing this.
Oh, you've had practice. She said, I won't need 2 minutes. Sure, Angela. All right. Rich Peacock is our speaker next, and he's with Peace Action of Michigan.
Ta-da. Shalom. Shalom. Salam. Salam. Shante.
Shante.
Peace.
Peace.
Next August is the 70th anniversary of the dropping of the atomic bombs. We will have something big happening then. Next spring is the 5-year review of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. And DAPJN has already talked about at least one bus going to the United Nations and New York City. Peace voter, so you probably got these postcards in the mail, and we do endorse candidates, and one of them did win. Actually, a couple of them won. We can't wait, and we can't take 2015 off, even though there's no election. So we're starting early, which means next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, we feature the Dean of the Wayne State University Law School, Jocelyn Benson, at the Pleasant Ridge Community Center, and Helen Weber and I have these goldenrod sheets which explain that, and so it's important to learn from this election to plan ahead. The big theme has been move the money from Pentagon spending to meeting human needs. And right now, it's very important to contact Congress because they're going to be voting on the authorization for more money for bombs and troops in Iraq and Syria. And we have information about how you need to do that and get on Congress right now because all hell could break loose in this next month.
It's on everybody's table.
It's on everybody's tables. Yes, go home and tomorrow make a phone call. But one of my friends doesn't like to talk to people on the phone, so you know what he does? He waits until the office is closed down, like 6 o'clock at night, and then he calls and leaves a message on the answering machine. However you do it, just do it.
Say a couple words on behalf of Fox Christie, Michigan. I didn't
Oh, sure.
know about this, and I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Kim Redigan couldn't come because she's working with the water board and the issue in Detroit.
On behalf of the board of, or what do we call ourselves, State Council, Fox Christie, Michigan. Fox Christie, in case you don't know it, is an international Catholic peace organization that started in Europe between French and German Catholics right at the end of World War II because they were tired of slaughtering each other, being Christians, slaughtering each other. So then in '72, Fox Christie USA began, and right around the same time, Fox Christie, Michigan, which is what I'm representing. We do a number of things. You can look at the website. I didn't know about this, so I didn't prepare any talk, of course. But youth outreach is a very big issue for us right now. We have a new state coordinator who's about 23 years old, so she's going to schools and all of that, which is, obviously we need to get young people involved in the peace movement. If you look around the table here, I'm probably the oldest person here at 65, but still, most of us are at least over 39 or 29, right? So you know what I'm saying. The next big event that we have is the State Council, or the State Conference, which is in April at St. John Fisher Chapel, which is the student parish at Oakland University on Walton and Squirrel, or something around that area. David Swanson is the keynote speaker, and some of you probably know David. He wrote War is a Lie and When the World Outlaws War, things like that. A number of books and a number of talks that David has given. So a really good speaker. So I'll have, at a future meeting here, I'll have the announcements and registration and all that. So, okay. Thanks.
Thank you. And Kim Bergier mentioned that we had a loss. Are you going to say that? I just want to say she just came back from 6 weeks in India, graduate of the Woodstock School.
My body time is about 3 o'clock in the morning.
You only have 2 minutes.
Ron Halstead, his wife, called me, left a message that he died on Friday. And I've heard that he's had an arrhythmia. It was quite a shock. And he had just accepted being treasurer of the Grey Panthers. So, and I don't think I can speak for Grey Panthers, but I just want one detail that got missed that I think is important. That Peace Action is going to help with the Michigan Stop the Bombs campaign this coming August in taking people to Oak Ridge, Tennessee. We will probably be carpooling. Ideally, if we have enough people, we will charter a bus. And it's about an all-day drive, and it's always exciting, very well organized. There is still a need to stop the refurbishing of every nuclear warhead in the U.S. arsenal. Very expensive and necessary. So, one of my favorite things to do is everyone who has been to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, could you stand up? I see a sprinkling of you. I know Helen and Carolyn, Ron. Yeah, just if you have any questions, you can talk to anyone of them. Thank you.
you here. And welcome back home. We're happy to see you back safely.
Yes.
Okay, Ann Abdu.
She's on the agenda.
Hello.
Citizen
I'm chairperson of the Citizen Action Committee. I'm chairman of the Citizen Action Committee of Citizens for Peace, and we're working with the Peace Alliance to get the Youth Promise Act passed. On your tables, there's a sheet of paper that says Summer Fall Action, and we're now in a lame duck session of Congress. And what we're asking you to do is to call, like you can call after hours and leave a message, and ask your Congress people, senators and representatives, to support the Youth Promise Act. This is legislation that would provide funding for preventative programs for youth who are at risk of getting into gangs or at risk of individually doing, violence. And it has been shown that preventative programs are far more effective than putting them in prison. Currently, there's 129 co-sponsors in the House, and there are 6 in the Senate. If it doesn't pass this year, it will be reintroduced. The Peace Alliance is really dedicated to getting this legislation passed. Also, if you decide that you will call your representatives, I would also like to ask you to call 3 friends and ask them to do the same. This would really help. The Peace Alliance is keeping statistics on how many calls have been made to Congress, how many letters, how many have been sent, all kinds of statistics, which helps sell their cause. So on the table, there is also a sign-up sheet. Looks like this. Okay. What I need you to do is fill out your name, email, phone, and with that, you're committed to calling your Congress people and getting 3 friends to do the same. And then I will have the information I need to let the Peace Alliance know how many phone calls or emails have been sent. In the last column, it says check to participate more. The Citizen Action Committee meets once every other month on the first Tuesday, and there's a variety of things that the current members are working on. Human trafficking is one, Move the Money is another, and along with the Youth Promise Act. And we have good meetings and good discussions. And so if you're interested in that, you can also join the Peace Alliance Action Team. And that is a group that meets monthly, the second Saturday of the month at 1 p.m. And we phone into a conference call. They usually have a very good speaker. And then we get an action for the month to work on. So if you are interested in participating in either of these committees, please put a check, all right? My last announcement is this coming Saturday here at Unity of Livonia will be the Body, Mind, Spirit Festival. There will be over 30 vendors here selling various products. They will have speakers throughout the day, and there's a $5 admission charge, and if you stay for the concert at night, it'll be $10. So these are around the building. You might want to pick up one of these guides because it tells you all the things that will be here on Saturday. Oh, also, the money, I have to tell you, the money that will be raised, the publishers of the Body, Mind, Spirit Guide are donating it to Unity of Livonia to repair our plumbing problem and to also repair our roof, which is very nice.
Can I say something about that?
Come on, it's not long.
The only thing I wanted to say is if there's people that haven't called their congressperson before, or you aren't positive of who it is right now, you can go on www.congress.gov and put in your zip code and you can find out who it is. And then if you're asking other people to do it and they haven't done it before and they're kind of worried about it, all they have to do is call in and the person that answers the phone can take the message. They're not going to be talking to anybody that is, they're going to be worried about. And also say, I'm a constituent and I would like to know what my congressman's answer is to this. Is he going to support or not? And here's my phone number or my email and I'd like you to let me know, because that way they can't just pass it off. So,
Thank you. Rosemary, our education director extraordinaire. I'll tell you.
I hate being last.
You're not last. You see some more people I just noticed we didn't invite up.
Well, since the Education Committee started in 2003, our main purpose has been to develop this bibliography of materials that are supporting nonviolence actions. And there's no such classification in the library system for that kind of book. And I want to give Swarthmore College, have you heard of Swarthmore College? Wicker College? They had a list of books on nonviolent material. It was the only place I could find one, so I commend them highly. It was a good start. But so we've been active with that, and lately, we'll go right to what's currently on the table, is the educating on nuclear plants and the radioactive waste. And we've been doing, have a postcard campaign for the last 4 months or so. And the hot issue on the table right now is that, and I get my information from, mainly from the Kraft Times, and they're having a public hearing on November 20th with the Atomic Safety and Licensing Board. Now, you can't get heard unless you're on the agenda. And they want to stop the licensing of Fermi 2. Now, Fermi 2 is one of the older ones out there, and they are filled up with their radioactive waste, and they're moving it outside on the premise. They have 65 pieces of radioactive, I don't have a language in this, so bear with me, because I don't have a scientist background. And so it's being buried on the premise, and they're moving 6 outside. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of room, and yet they want a 20-year extension on their license. So there's an active campaign to stop that from happening. And we've had a postcard campaign, so I have some postcards, about only 5 left. If we could support this group who is going to be at the public hearing, but they have to be mailed by the 20th. So it gets there, excuse me, by the 20th. I have some postcards that are addressed, stamped, and all you have to do is write it out and sign it and mail it. So please see me. And the other thing, we have free bumper stickers. They're over there on the table that says nuclear age, are we safe? And I have a handout, I only have about 10 of them, that talks about the difference between low level, medium level, and high level radioactive waste. It'll all be there, right? And we talked about a bill that was passed in the Senate and is now in the House about Canada burying their waste in Lake Huron. And then there was near Lake Huron. It would affect the waters. And so the senator from that area submitted a bill and it passed in the Senate quickly. Now it's in the House. And for the last month, it hasn't been read. I checked today and it's been read. It's bill number 5601. And I'm happy to hear that it's been read in the committee and 8 people are on board for it.
Rosemary, is this in the U.S. or in state?
State.
House or Senate?
It's in the House right now. It passed in the Senate.
Okay, so
The bill in the House number is 5601.
Okay.
And I found out how to look it up. You just type in Michigan State House Bill 5601 and you get right to it. You find out the action. I think that's it. Thank you so much.
I'm going to ask our reporter to let you know we have Kevin Szawala. His name is Mr. Peace. And we're excited because we've got young people working for peace and recording for us, and he's going to give you an offer too.
Awesome. It's always an honor to be here. It's a huge blessing. And, as I've told Colleen and everybody else, that I've gotten to meet over the years that, you know, for as much as the youth that inspire you, you guys inspire us. So I appreciate the continued fire. But what I just wanted to offer really quickly, I've done some recordings now for the Citizens for Peace now, probably the last 3 or 4 years, for WILP, for Peace Action of Michigan. So when we're talking about how do we reach our young people and our youth, it's through this. It's through social media, and it's through the internet, and it's through YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and everything under the sun. So in terms of any of your important meetings that you have coming up, or functions, or things that you think you'd like to have video footage on, please do see me after. I would love to, if I have the time and energy, come out and videotape that, put it online, share it through my network of friends and my social media networks as well. That's a great way to kind of start to build on the online world about what your core message is. The other thing that I'll offer, so I'm also very blessed to be able to go and speak all across this country. I do school assemblies, and I'm starting to do more and more out of state, but I do quite a bit still around Michigan. And this is kindergarten through 12th grade. I speak on every topic under the sun: suicide, anti-bullying, diversity, substance abuse, and the main thing that I focus on is kids that are in pain, because until we fix the inner side of things, right, until we have inner peace, we can't expect to give it outwardly. If everybody makes a fist really quickly, you guys just make a fist, right? That's as big as your heart is, unless you're Conley Mills, it's about 3 times that size, or the Grinch Who Stole Christmas. But I'm trying to turn this into this, right? And that we ultimately, pain is what unites us. You know, if you're a human being, which all of us are, you have billions of nerve endings in your body. So we are meant to suffer, we're meant to feel pain, but we have a choice of how we respond to that. And so that's what I'm trying to really teach our youth. Dana, who's also doing some great work with our youth right down the street here in Redford, had done an article about some of the work that I've been able to accomplish, you know, in my short time here. But if it makes sense where there's a overlap in terms of the peace and nonviolence message that I'm trying to relate to our youth, and I could kind of possibly get sponsored, you know, by your organization to come into a school, possibly have an essay contest for the students that relates to, you know, the key functionality of your organization, then that might make sense to try to raise awareness with our youth, right? To give them some type of incentive to learn about what we're doing. But anyways, I'm probably past my 2-minute mark. Yeah, but I just wanted to at least give you a little bit extra. Please, if you need to contact me afterwards, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to have the discussion. We have our cake. We could sing happy anniversary, Citizens for Peace. Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. If you didn't get your cake, it's coming. And we have tickets to buy. We're going to have our discussion. What can we do to energize the peace group? Do we want to have a policy statement in the political action guide for peace? Do we want to write a letter and have a joint letter? It's up for discussion for the network. And I have the guides and the information that I would like the representatives. I have to get one for him. Who else? Let's see. And yeah, okay, you'll get one. All right. So she couldn't come, and she's the one that emailed me about Ron. And we're going to end with a moment of silence for Ron, who was going to be here. That was a shock.
Raise your hand if you want cake and you didn't get any yet.
If you didn't get your cake yet?
Colleen.
Yes. I'm not going to have.
You just raised your hand.
Oh, I was like over there.
She always has her hand up.
Oh, I know. I know. Thank you, Angela. Anyone else need cake? This right here. Who didn't get their anniversary cake? Okay. All right. Any discussion? Yes, Nancy?
I just want to all the members, if anyone picks up donations between now and the next meeting, please let me know so we can get everything organized.
Yeah, I'll send out another email, and she has the donor letter I ran off a bunch of them, so if you are going to a restaurant or someplace, please stop by the table. Nancy will give you the donor letter. It's really easy to ask for donations. Everyone I've gone to has been so gracious, and we keep getting more and more donations, so.
This gives them a
Yes.
tax deduction is what this is.
Right, it's the education fund is a 501c3, thanks to Ann Abdu, and we're the 501c4. We can lobby for legislation, but we're nonpartisan also. Kara? Give to, yeah, she's handling all of it, all of it. So, what do you think? You know, what are your ideas as far as, you know, getting organized and having a stronger impact, rather like the Friends letter I put on there. It was signed by the Peace Alliance, the Student Peace Alliance, and lots of other peace groups. So it has more of an impact when you give that letter than if you're just, you know, by yourself. Citizens for Peace. You know, if it's a whole network saying, we believe in this, what do you think?
The one thing that occurs to me, it's nice to have people from various peace organizations here tonight, and they might be, you might give them an open invitation to always attend meetings or certain meetings.
They are always welcome. In fact, Tada is our representative. On Thursdays, the Detroit Area Peace with Justice Network meets on the east side. And Tada goes there, and she always shares what we're doing as a group, and all the different members come and share what they're doing. So how else can we be a more effective network? Do you have any ideas, Catherine? I think you gave a lot of good ideas. Mary?
I was just going to say that, like, I know right now we have someone from Results coming in from the office to U of M because they're starting a results group at University of Michigan, and there's someone at U of M Dearborn that's coming in, and they're going to try to start one up in Lansing. And so if there's a way to get into the colleges, universities, Schoolcraft,
yeah, we were.
Oakland University, I don't know exactly how, but we need to hook into the colleges.
We really do. If you want to get young people,
Well, and not
Laura,
even that, and it's obviously not why people do this, but what I say to them all the time is, what better thing to have on your resume? I lobbied Congress for hunger and poverty worldwide.
That's
my
true.
resume.
That's true.
You know?
Very good. Carolyn?
That's not the reason, but.
There's a group meeting this Friday at the law school at Wayne State, and it was started up with the Central United Methodist and some lawyer groups over there. But I was thinking I should take information from Result and from the Promise Act to that.
Sure.
Because they're bringing, like, there's 200 kids going to be there from all the schools in Detroit and around.
Wow.
So it's a lot of young people. I
That's
think I
for
should take information there Friday.
Yeah. In fact, you could take one of the Get Involved guides,
Okay,
you know.
thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Good idea. Yeah, we have to reach out to young people. Well, at the DAPJN meeting, are you having it this Thursday?
No,
It's canceled. Is it because of Ron?
no, it's because of here.
Oh, it's because of this. That's why you all came. You didn't tell me, Rich. Very, very good idea. Oh, okay. But, you know, I think the network has time to make a decision, get some, you know, a letter together, a policy statement. We could have it published right in the guide. We're redoing it, so I ask for your help. This Saturday also, it's a very busy day. We are going to have a Citizens for Peace table at the Holiday Mart at Swords and Plowshares Peace Gallery, which is also a wonderful, wonderful place. They have artwork, and then they have all kinds of peace gatherings. So it's great, and we're going to have our table there. We have new items on our table for sale. We have scarves, we have peace signs, we have Harold Stokes' buttons. And speaking of Harold Stokes, I did want to have a moment of silence for another peace activist who was going to be here tonight from the Grey Panthers, and unfortunately, he is not here. So let's take just a moment of silence, not only for Ron Halstead, but for all the veterans, all the women, children, all the victims of wars through the ages on this Veterans Day. The Veterans for Peace had a display downtown with all the crosses and the Michigan soldiers that were killed in the wars in Afghanistan and in Iraq. And so they were downtown. And there's so many victims now that it's 90% women and children, the victims of war. And so let's just take a moment of silence. That's why we're here. We want to turn things around rather than having war as the only way to get to peace. We want to have peace the way to get to peace and love the way to get to peace. So let's think of Ron and all the victims of wars in the past for a minute. Thank you. And Mary, do you want to say
I
something?
was just going to say, if anybody would like to hear more about results or hear the really cool speaker we have on Sunday, come see me afterwards, and I have tickets for Sunday at Unity of Farmington Hills, 3 o'clock, with a really fabulous speaker and refreshments.
And what a busy weekend this is for peace, isn't it something? We are busy, busy people.
Somebody who's involved in the area, could explain a little bit more about how that works or how it's communication?
The Detroit Area Peace with Justice Network. You want to talk about that, Rich? Yeah, because he's kind of the lead man now here. Whoops.
The Detroit Area Peace with Justice Network meets usually the second Thursday of every month. Okay, and there are a number of organizations that are involved in it. Raise your hand, because Lon Herman with the Democratic Socialist, Laura Dewey with Will, and Jan with East Point. I mean, the Points for Peace. Way over in the east side, Grosse Pointe. You probably came along this. Thank you, Jan. And Carol with Stop Burma 2 and 3, and Stop the Bombs with Kim. And Tada is the representative from Livonia Citizens for Peace.
Yeah.
Okay? And so other groups are certainly welcome, and I left the cat out of the bag, but the one thing that's been talked about for 2015 so far is the bus trip to New York City to the United Nations. And there's more. So see me if your organization wants to hook up with us, and you're very, very welcome.
Are there any questions and comments? Laura?
Well, I have a comment about the fact that a lot of us are talking to each other in our meetings. A lot of us see, like in Wilf, we have people who are members of Great Panthers and other groups, and there's that old saying, well, we're speaking to the choir. My response is we have to increase the size of the choir.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with educating your own members about something, because you obviously have members who join in for one reason or the other, but then they get educated on 10 other issues you're working on. So I think we need to really take seriously the issue of recruiting new people into our various organizations. But that's not, I honestly don't know how to do that, so I'm not going to talk about it right now. I hope someone addresses this, and I hope that our speaker will do that. But the other issue is communication. DAPJN, one of our goals was to increase communication with each other. And one of the great means of doing that is to come to meetings, and also if you are planning an event, join the network. Your organization should be in the network, and you tell DAPJN, hey, in June we're planning an event on a hunger issue or something, or homelessness or whatever. And that way all the other groups will know about it, and then you can join forces. Not all of our groups are interested in what the other group is doing, but we do have a lot in common. For example, someone mentioned postcards about the waste, the Bruce waste facility that they want to build in Canada. Well, 2 weeks ago, Will had an event about nuclear waste. One of our speakers spoke to that. It would have been nice to have those postcards at our event. we would have distributed to, we would have distributed there. And actually, you talk to me later, I'll have it put in our next mailing. But the point is that an opportunity was lost. And we lose so many opportunities simply because we do not talk to each other well enough. The network has ameliorated that to a big extent. Another way you can talk to each other is post your event on the Michigan Peace Network calendar. Before I plan a WILF event, I look at the calendar, I look at Great Panthers calendar online, and if I see something very major, I do not want a WILF event on that day. Now, it's true, we cannot always miss, there's always conflicts. There's probably, all these things going on this weekend. But if you want to plan a major event, please do not hold it on the same day of the Peace Action Dinner or, or a major event that Citizens for Peace is having. So that's another way of communicating with each other. But I would really like us to see where if you do an event on a particular topic, please let everybody know. Let all the groups who want to participate co-sponsor it. You'll multiply your audience just automatically by doing that simple thing. But I still think we have a go it alone approach in some of our organizations. Could be because we're Americans, we're into individualism. We got to cut it out. So unity is the key. Also, I want to see more unity crossing different issues that are not traditionally unified. For example, right now you got the environmental group finally unifying with peace movement, which you saw in New York. Finally, in that big demo in New York on climate change. Unity with labor rights, human rights, peace, environment. You may think those are not all your issues, but if you want to survive, they are your issues. So that's all I'll say for now.
Well done.
Wow.
Well said.
I'm going to ask you to write that up, and I'm offering the guide.
Oh, okay.
I am offering.
I've got 10 at home.
No.
To sell.
I know. Oh boy, but we're redoing it.
Yeah, I know.
So that was beautiful, Laura. That's what we need. Rich Peacock's going to do an essay on Move the Money. I'm offering all the groups to write more in the networking portion. I'm eliminating the maps in this because they were a big pain, and I'm going to send a link. I'm not doing those this year.
I like those maps.
I know you do. If you want to take over that, please do. And I'm also asking the Citizens for Peace, how many would like to work on the guide? Thank you, Bill. I knew you would. Thank you, Ann. I knew you would. Thank you, Tata. Thank you, Dana. That's what I want. She did that whole guide by herself practically. It was awesome, Dana. Reaching out to young people. If you know a group, a school, contact Mr. Peace. He is brilliant with these kids. It's just amazing to see him interacting. So we have young people working for peace. Let's support them. If you have any ideas, please email them to. And now I'm going to make the announcement. The Citizens for Peace already know. We have a new website, I should say, and it's Citizens for Peace. I'm going to send all of you a link. You can go to our website. If you think of an idea that you think we should have to improve it, it was really quite an experience putting that together in the last few weeks. Let me know. And we could have more information, like the Great Panthers. We really appreciate the Great Panthers website because we post all of our events. The Michigan Peace Network. There are 177 groups working for peace in the state of Michigan. We need to support that Michigan Peace Network. All the different groups, you have to go on and vote. I was doing it, I was the only one voting. I don't know what happened. I think there's maybe 5 groups that bother to vote for the different projects. So come shop this Friday down at Saturday. Yes, Saturday, come shop downtown. Come here to the Body, Mind, Spirit Festival. Go to the concert. Saturday's going to be a fun day. Then on Sunday, go to Results. And I'm going to ask you all to come. You can look at our table. We've got items for sale. And for sure, get your raffle tickets and Citizens for Peace. Who else could help Gloria in the afternoon at the Holiday Mart at Swords and Plowshares? You're going to come. Thank you, Sally. Tata, are you going to go to Yusuf's?
I didn't call
Oh, you were supposed to call because you could come and help too. Okay, we need help. All right, anything else for the cause? Mary?
This is something for not really right now, but it's an idea that people need to think about, because I think one way of getting young people involved is at the end of the school year, at graduation, don't worry about getting your kid a pillow for college. Get them registered to vote before you leave. So how can we do that? We have to think of some way, maybe at the high schools or something, but, you know, what's more important? A blanket or your representative to Congress?
Why don't you wrap it up, Catherine?
We're ready to, and I definitely cannot speak for all young people, but I had a couple of ideas or suggestions.
Great.
And I think one is to think to what first got you involved in this work. It's oftentimes a personal connection, some kind of compassion that links us into the issue, right? So if you're taking people to Oak Ridge, to Tennessee, how can you bring some young people to see firsthand? Because so few people in my generation are directly impacted by war, that we have to be in relationship with veterans, or we have to be in relationship with young people in Pakistan or in Yemen to understand what this reality of war is, because it's so distant. And then I think helping people have hope, like what Results does, to say, hey, we are also having an impact. There are small victories, there are things we can do, because I think it's also a question of hopelessness. But then I think the other question is, what are the needs of different people at different ages? So some people in the middle age range might need childcare provided at your meetings. If it's somebody who's in college and they're they're really dealing with huge debt, maybe they need a stipend to be an organizer. What are their needs? Is there a way to create a community, to sponsor a small group of people that have an intensive experience together, so they feel like they're a part of a group that can keep in touch? But also if you're relating to institutions like schools, high schools, colleges, students do turnover, so you want to have a relationship with a professor or with a teacher who's, maybe they're the advisor to an existing club or student group. Then maybe you want to approach them and ask, how can we support you? How can we partner with you as a group in the community to do intergenerational organizing? So those are just some brainstorming thoughts, but I wonder if it might be something that a task force with some people from different groups here might take up as a part of the area network, to say, how can we work together so we're not competing with each other, but we might do some focused work to partner with more young people in our organizing.
Beautiful. That was great. Let's thank Catherine again. Thank all the representatives. Linda.
Can I say one last thing?
You sure can. Come up to this mic, Linda, with your soft voice. Yes, you have to come up. This is our wonderful secretary, does such a beautiful job, and she wants you to all fill out the membership form and give her $20. For $20, you get access to all of our wonderful audio-visual materials that you get to take and have parties. So, is that what you were going to say, Linda? Oh, go ahead, you can talk.
I was going to mention that everyone here who's got a group should not leave without one of Kevin's cards, because just about 2 weeks ago, I just happened to be at my high school. It's been 38 years since high school graduation, to get my transcripts for my license. And it just happened to be the day that Kevin was having a rally with the students. It was so powerful. I'm so glad it rained that day, because they would have done it out by the Peace Pole. But he had everyone's attention in that auditorium. You could hear a pin drop. So, so, so powerful. So if you've got connections with young people, make sure you've got Kevin's phone number and his information. He is wonderful. So I think that's the future.
Linda Joy, we've got Kim Joy, Linda Joy, and Colleen Joy. We're the Joy triplets. And Caroline.
Yeah, I just want to mention, a lot of times with the high schools or even middle schools and lower, it's the PTAs, or there's a parent, teacher, organization where they work with together, and they provide a lot of the money for the speakers. So that's a good place to go.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask a favor. I'd like everyone to have another piece of cake. You can take it to go. We have cake, we don't want to take it home. And please help clean up the tables. You know, thank you for the people that brought other things, and George has been working very, very hard. He needs some help in the kitchen, people. Let's give George help. So please, help clean up your tables, help take some more cake, and come shopping over here, and for sure, see Nancy about the Education Fund raffle. Thank you so much for coming, and see you soon.